All right, so I want to talk about, I have videos where I talk about Neptune through the houses, Neptune through the signs. We're not really going to talk about that right now, okay? That is on playlist. But I want to talk about how your Neptune sign may help you understand the ways in which you may be introduced to spirituality. So if you're kind of stuck and you're like, where do I start? Or how would I know when to start? Or what house is most important to me? This is what I'm really going to go through. Now, traditionally, Jupiter was assigned to the 12th house energy. Jupiter was the ruler of Pisces. And so there are some special considerations for that for people that use and practice traditional astrology. Neptune in first, you will tap into your spirituality when you recognize a different version of yourself you didn't know was possible. Neptune can deal with disassociation, as we know. It can deal with confusion, delusion. Sometimes, it also could, of course, be a high level of inspiration, a high level of hope. But Neptune in first would be when you recognize that you are someone who gives yourself a greater sense of openness and validity when you allow yourself to change into the version of yourself that you want to be. And it can be through experiences where you stop worrying about having to fit a certain mold and you understand the ways in which you show up. So through Neptune in first, it's going to be believing in yourself. It's going to be being what you think you are, and it's a little bit delusional. Some people say the greatest manifestors are delusional. The greatest manifestors are a little bit delusional. So for Neptune in first, it's going to be understanding the version of yourself that you want to become can be that, but first you have to believe it first. Sometimes we're waiting for people to believe in us, right? We're waiting for people to believe we can do it, believe we're good at it. But it really starts with us, and then other people will shape to that because they'll understand that that's just the energy that you're walking in, that there is no other option. That's that Neptunian energy. There's no other option. I'm going to just sift into this, and this is just what it is, okay? Neptune in second. For Neptune in second, I would say it's the things that you have. It's the things that you value. It is the objects. Yes, you are a person that might need to buy the things, the crystals, having certain objects in your house that are good omens, that are good luck, buying into superstition, those types of things, the physical space, right? You might be a person that wants to do that trick, put the dollar in your wallet, right? If you're trying to tap into yourself spiritually, you have Neptune in the second house. It is about utilizing the physical resources. Physical things matter. Not about you have to buy a bunch of things. It is the items. It matters more for you to have those things at your disposal. It matters more for you to have physical representations of the things that you are in line with spiritually in order to really tap into that. Now, Neptune in third house. Even Neptune conjunct Uranus in that third, you got to pay attention to the supernatural. You got to pay attention to the weird stuff. And I'm not saying supernatural is weird, but you know what I mean. You got to pay attention to that because it is through that you're going to be able to expand your imagination, expand your mind, and really start to understand how things are linked together. So for you, it's not about skipping over things because it's like, oh, that sounds too odd. You're going to be curious probably about some of those things. If you're scrolling on TikTok or you're reading something and you catch the spiritual part of it, like read it. If someone's talking about something that seems a little bit not normal or something that seems very much like, occultish or something that seems very much like mysterious, like in a way, that is what you're going to want to indulge in. Neptune and third house people every day. Find something it might just be following a certain YouTuber that every day talks about something. Like there's this one woman on TikTok, I'm sorry, I don't know her name, but I come across her every once in a while and she does, like people write into her about like weird stories that they've experienced, like supernatural stuff, and she talks about it online. But like that, like, and I always talk to people about being practical with spirituality. It's about tapping in. It is not about mastering something, knowing everything. It is not about like being intimidated by your zodiac sign or intimidated by your placements. It's about tapping in so that energetically the things in your chart start to play out. Energetically, you start to use them to your benefit. So Neptune in third, it is about what you consume, what you allow, also what you allow to enter your mindset. Right? Neptune, it should be things that are, I'm not saying everything has to be positive, but hope, stories of inspiration. Even, reading certain things that are positive, reading certain things that are like, wow, that was a miracle. Like that is how you can start to tap into your spirituality. Neptune in fourth, many people Neptune in fourth, you're born already into a spiritual family, or you're born from somebody or someone in your family has a spiritual awareness. Maybe they have a gift, maybe they passed it down to you and they never used it. That happens a lot. Like people kind of barricade their spiritual gifts because they were afraid when they were younger. and it passes down to their child or their grandchild, and now, right, you're left with it. So Neptune in fourth, you benefit from having already a spiritual background. A lot of times when we're younger, we don't listen. We're like, oh, that's interesting, mom, that's interesting. But like, think back to those stories. If this resonates with you, it may not resonate to everyone. The stories that you were told, and sometimes elders tell us stories, but they don't really, they don't, like, we're not grasping at the time. So as children, we're not asking the right questions that now as adults, we're like, I wish I would have asked that question. So with Neptune in fourth house is really tapping into what did my mom always tell me, my grandma, my uncle, whoever was your wise person, like, what did they tell me? Right? What did they tell me about life? What are some of the things that I didn't believe at the time? But now I'm realizing they gave me the blueprint. You have Neptune in fourth house, a lot of, even especially you've got the moon in the fourth house. So you have, there's feminine energy there. There's feminine energy in your family. Like, you're already born into some type of spiritual cycle. And it's really just tapping in and understanding, what is the story of my family? What are the spiritual practices they engaged in, right? What am I already here with the gift of having based off that lineage, okay? Based off what I was told, based on what I know about myself. Because sometimes it's helpful there. The fifth house, Neptune in fifth. You have to identify the things you like about spirituality. You have to have fun with it. And I know people are like, oh my gosh, manifesting and spells and rituals, this is not a game. But we're talking about Neptune in fifth. You got to have fun with it. And so it could be you're a person that makes spiritual memes, right? You're a person that does entertainment with it. There's one, she's a spiritualist, and she does readings, and she has merchandise, a spiritual cowboy. I love her content. But like, and I'm not saying she's Neptune in fifth house, but that's a Neptune in fifth house thing. She does the skits, like the universe and like you, and the that science. She's brilliant. I love her stuff. But that's an example of like Neptune in fifth house. Like Neptune in fifth house energy is like, have fun with your spirituality, and then you can get a little more serious later. Okay, whether that is through roasting the signs. I hate the roasting the signs sometimes because I'm like, I'm more about the information, but like the roasting of the signs, have fun with it. It is about, what about the spirituality do you like? Like, I just like someone might say, I like collecting crystals and organizing them and color coding them and all of that. Maybe you have Neptune conjunct Venus in your chart, right? In fifth house, whatever, right? It's Neptune in fifth. It's the fun. It is allow yourself to be confident in something spiritual that you're good at, but also you have to have fun with it. Yes, some people are serious. They're like, I'm just here. I do my spells. I help people. I do, root work. And that's beautiful. That's great. But some people, you're actually here in a way you're going to first start with, have fun with it, engage with it, make it your hobby. And then if you want to make it serious, you can. When Neptune's in the fifth house, you already are here with a creative flair with it. There's something creative you can do with spirituality. Okay. Neptune in sixth, same thing I tell my clients. If you have Neptune in sixth house or Pisces on the cusp or anything like that, it is every day. Find something inspirational to do, to give you hope, to give you inspiration, to help you build that understanding. If Neptune's in sixth house, especially, can help you format certain parts of your life that you feel aren't going well. It is through your ability to understand how to have the hope to keep going, to fix the things in your life. If you have Neptune in the sixth house, find something every day that brings you a sense of imagination. Every day brings you a sense of peace. What can you do every day that brings you peace? You like to draw. You like to, right? You like to draw. You like poetry, whatever it is that you like. It could be for some people, maybe you are religious and you're like, I want to read a Bible verse every day. And that uplifts me. Cool, whatever. Like Neptune in your sixth house, if you're trying to tap to your spirituality, it helps. I like the placement a little bit because I think it helps you stay hopeful. It helps you stay. I might be in the trenches, sixth house. I'm working hard. I got a lot to do, but there's something about it that helps me stay uplifted. Now, again, you could do Neptune in sixth house people that could sometimes lose track with reality. Not always do the things they're supposed to do. They do what they want to do, but that's not what I'm talking about right now. All right. So Neptune in seventh house, you can learn from other people. An important partnership, whether it is a friend, a romantic partner, they expose you to something that is a belief, or they're people that know how to dive into their dreams. They know how to dive into the things that are unseen because, some of our potential is not seen. Some of our potential is not seen. That means people will, assign our worth to us sometimes. So we have to sometimes decide for ourselves what it is that we know. And so Neptune being your seventh house can be, these people are very good at knowing what they want, and you might not see it. Nobody sees it yet but them. But they serve as like in a good sense of inspiration. You know, it's an inspirational person. These relationships help you have a greater sense of understanding, connectivity. Neptune seventh house, it can help you, you know, you tap in by having relationships that give you a greater sense of understanding things that are beyond the norm, things that are beyond the, you know, the restrictions that we place on ourselves. You know, your best relationship might be one that's not even there anymore. Remember, Neptune can be evasive. Neptune can dissipate, okay? You know, because it's not there. It's not physically there, right? So Neptune seventh house, though, it is through relationships or through someone. You might not even be with that person anymore. That was your best friend. Because I say interpersonal relationships are seventh house. That your best friend is seventh house. I know people like, but friendship is 11th house. That's groups. Okay, that's how I do it. And I'm not saying there can't be some overlap, but that's typically how I prefer to talk about it. But that could be you're not even friends with them anymore. But that friend showed you a Ouija board and you were like, oh, now I'm interested in the cult stuff. And Ouija boards, I don't mess with Ouija boards. I have some stories about Ouija boards about why I don't mess with them, but I'm giving an example because like, right, like, so because there's a real story, but like, but what I'm saying is like that friend or that boyfriend or that girlfriend, whoever like introduced you to something, like I didn't even care about astrology, but then I met someone like Neptune in seventh means that sometimes you could tap into spirituality by the people around you who are more grounded in it, who understand it a little bit more than you, where it kind of serves as that platform and that foundation. Neptune in eighth house, it is really around what I like about Neptune in eighth. I mean, when I say the potential to be master manifestors, because the difference between the 12th, Neptune belongs in the 12th, right? Neptune in 12th is the most spiritually aligned potential. And Neptune in 8th, though, it's like it requires a level of trying to transform and ascertain things that are beyond you, things that are not just yours. And so Neptune in 8th can be a powerful manifester of what it is that you want. Neptune in 8th, it also can mean sometimes the things that you think you want, you have to have a greater sense of understanding the reason for it. So you'll be a good manifester when you know the reason for it. Neptune in 12th, people who are highly evolved will be better manifestors in terms of the whole picture. 8th is more so around the things that you want. That could be more gain, right? Those types of things. But with Neptune in 8th, it is when you know the meaning and purpose around what you're trying to get, it can be a great way for you to manifest. But to tap into it is really going to help you you're going to have to understand the reasons behind the things that you're asking for, the things that you want in your life, because it's always about what it is in alignment. And eighth house placements, depending on what it is, can be like, I want, I'm going to join up. I can have this, so let me try to get this. But it's like, at some point, certain placements in the chart, especially we're talking about Neptune, right? Jupiter, maybe even to some degree, is now we become more about like intention. It now becomes about alignment. And so sometimes people don't manifest because what you want is not in alignment at all with what you are supposed to do, or not in alignment with what the code is, right? So Neptune in 8th, it is more so around learning how to manifest things in ways that produce a greater sense of you having control over the things that you want in your life, while also knowing everything you don't need. You don't need everything, right? Especially if you have other placements in 8th house, you don't need everything. And so there is this way in which you need to really identify the things that you need that are going to really propel you in the way that you want, and not deal with the trivial things. Neptune in 9th, you can get a lot, especially if there's other placements there, when you go outside your comfort zone. So for you to really tap into your spirituality, you have to go outside your comfort zone, maybe learn about different cultures, learn about different techniques, right? Be open, like, because the one you grew up with or what you think you believe may not be it. You know, Neptune can deceive us. Again, I know we talk a lot about Neptune and spirituality and, you know, the compassion and all that, but it's like Neptune can be a deceiver sometimes. So Neptune in your 9th house, I mean, being open and being aware, but when you tap into things that are outside of yourself, you then get to see how they all form together. When you get to see the bigger picture. So for Neptune in 9th house, it is listen, because then sometimes you might realize, wow, their belief systems are similar to my belief systems, and then my belief systems are like this, and you start to build a greater sense of understanding, you know, philosophy. You understand, you know, the world and beliefs, and how a lot of our beliefs are linked together. People just gave up saying, oh, my way's better, I know everything, right? So with Neptune in 9th, it is around the people that are diverse, the people that are different. What are those belief systems? Before you can even settle into your own, just being open and tapping into that will help you settle more into the things that you are really here to do, or to really push for the different mindsets that are helpful for you in the way you choose to live your life. Neptune in 10th. And I said this like the first house, I said, look, be delusional. Neptune in 10th. Your goals might seem delusional to you. Your goals might seem far out of reach. Your goal, but you have to. You kind of can get away with having these goals. It doesn't mean they come fast, especially if you're Neptune and Capricorn. That generation, no, Neptune and Cap. I tell you, Neptune and Capricorns. But it's about this idea of like, your ideas might sometimes feel out of reach. Your goals might feel out of reach. It may sometimes feel like it's a far away, distant thing, and that can impede you. But what I would say is Neptune isn't about a instant delivery. And so for your goals, your ambition, the things you want, one, work with your sixth house. I think I talked about that. Work through your sixth house. I have a video. I'll talk about second, sixth, and 10th. But what I would say is like the importance here would be to see evidence of things working out in your favor. A lot of times with any energy in the 10th house, we want the big reward, or it doesn't matter. But it's like, start to also see the small ways in which things are working out for you, even if they're not instant right away. What we have to understand about energy is understand what the planet is so we can stop blaming it. Neptune is not going to give you nothing immediately. It's not direct. It wants you to go through the evolution of understanding it intricately, intimately, in terms of the way in which it is supposed to flow. And the way it's supposed to be about divine timing. It's supposed to be about intention. And so Neptune in 10th, you tap into it by continuing to work through your goals and seeing small things along the way, right? It is releasing this idea of like, I have to be great right away, or it only matters if I'm great, especially if you have Neptune, any planets in that 10th house where you think you're supposed to be great. I'm supposed to have more respect than this. But it's important to, along the way, see the ways in which things are working out for you so that you can keep the hope and keep the faith, right? Neptune in 11th house, it is your networks. It is the people around you. It is going to be tapping into that. It is going to be going to that conference. It's going to be going to that workshop. It's going to be going to that festival, right? Your spirituality and a lot of your ideas and the things that you believe in, it is shaped a little bit by society or groups. It is shaped by those people around you. And maybe you're here for that. Maybe the way in which your family raised you is not really going to help you on your spiritual journey. You need to be around other people. You need to be around those who can shape and form you and introduce you to another way of believing and thinking that you might not even know was imaginable or possible. Who you're around is so important for Neptune in 11th house, because your beliefs on the world, on society, and some of your value systems might be shaped through that. Especially people that have that you have a square, you know what I mean, square to any of those other planets that deal with like your ideas. Mercury square something in your 11th house, Jupiter squaring something in your 11th house, right? Neptune squaring Jupiter, those types of things. You're heavily influenced by ideas of other people. And that doesn't mean you don't have your own idea. It just means you like that. You thrive off of that. That allows for you to connect to people. Very important for you to have the right people around you, right? In terms of your spirituality, it's also going to be people who you recognize and realize uplift you. That's the difference. Not people that are trying to mold you. That's that 12th house Neptune stuff I talk about. People who uplift you, people who the things that they talk about allow for you to feel a greater sense of hope and peace, and like, oh, I feel like there's ways in which I can improve or better my life in ways that give me a greater sense of release from the restrictions that I have, right? Those are the types of individuals that you want to be around if you have Neptune in 11th house, and that's a way to tap into your spirituality. It is going to be through your networks. It is going to be through those people. It is going to be through being belonging to something, right? And again, it's not a bad thing. It's not saying you're a follower. It depends what else is in your chart. It depends, the aspects, right? Neptune in 12. Neptune is home here, right? And so Neptune in 12, like I said before, Neptune in 8th and 12, I think, can be really strong manifestors. 4th, yes, but different reasons, different ways of manifesting. But with Neptune in 12, it is beneficial if you know how to use it, because it's in rulership. But it can cause some people to be highly sensitive to the point of being a recluse, or highly sensitive to the point where you don't feel like you can relate to the world. Highly sensitive. So, but what we also want to see here is like Neptune, the way to tap into your spirituality, Neptune in the 12th house, is going to be through recognizing the experiences that you have it is about not having to always describe things in ways that are literal. You're going to tap into your spirituality more when you are aware of the things that you are not here to fix. You're here to resolve things within yourself. Healing, healing the parts of yourself that are the most hidden, the parts of yourself that can hinder your creative expression, the things that can hinder your ability to heal are going to be when you stay stuck in a cycle. I say Neptune and Pisces energy, or Neptune in 12th house energy, is very karmic, very much so. And so being stuck in a cycle where you're not sure how to work through that in ways where it's not trapped as energy that feels like it can't go anywhere. 12th house, I can't, right? The energy, I can't go anywhere. I'm stuck here. I'm banished. I'm off to the side. We talk about, right, the 12th house traditionally as like imprisonment and mental hospitals and things of that nature. Being trapped within these imaginative things that you possess or that you experience, but not knowing fully how to use that to really uplift yourself in ways that allow for a greater sense of good. And I think Neptune and 12's problem can be you understand things so much at the soul level that you think you can avoid them. Right? These are the people that are highly spiritual, but they block it. I don't want to see this. I don't want to see that. And I do think you have the right to spiritually develop yourself, because some people, like, if you don't tune yourself out of everything, you're going to hear, I'm talking about the people who are like, hear things, see things. You got to work, right? You have to master that. But like, not hiding from them, understanding things so much at the soul level that you fail to put it into words. You fail to chronicleize it. You fail to find ways to bring this forth in your waking world. You fail to understand how to use all the things you feel and sense in productive ways. And that's very important for you to understand that and bring it out. Bring it out. Put words to the things that you experience and that you feel. Otherwise, it can feel very lonely. It can feel very isolating sometimes to have this energy and feel like I know and I sense all these different things, but I have no outlet for them. That's the problem with the 12th house sometimes, is this feeling of no outlet. And that's what people don't talk about when they're like, oh, I'm just in isolation. Oh, nobody talks to me. But it's like about applying that in ways that help you give a greater sense of hope, because as I said before, you don't want to have that Neptunian energy that can be so dissatisfied with life, so that's dissatisfied with the way that it is, that it becomes like wallowing in despair and pity and sadness. The best way to use that Neptune and Pisces energy is to use it in ways to produce a greater sense of, this is the meaning in all of these things, and this is how I'm going to produce a way in which I'm helping center other people in this. Once I understand something, then I'm able to heal it myself. But a lot of times that Neptune energy, you are here in some way to help heal people, and it doesn't have to be physical. It doesn't mean you're a spiritual guru. It means, though, the way you are, what you do, allows for people to feel a greater sense of connection with their own humanity, which does sound like a big task, but again, that is a beautiful thing if you can really tap into that Neptune energy.